Vande Krishna Foundation presents.
Didi, please tell us more about your disability program.
Oh, that's been a very long journey. In 1987, when I was in one of the homes in the villages, I went through a dark room, and then suddenly I saw a 22-year or so youth lying in bed in this dark room, and then I realized he was quadriplegic. And I went out and I said, "My God, this youth has been lying like this for the last 22 years. How could he lie in this just one room?" And we were having a meeting outside in the village near this home only. So I said, okay, now let's get the youth out into the open, into the sunlight. And I asked all the people in the village that why was this youth hidden like this? So the family said, oh, we don't want it. So it's stigmatized, you see. The disability is so stigmatized. They thought their daughters wouldn't get married if people realized that they had a youth with quadriplegia. So I asked them that, okay, let's all lie down, and can we lie down like this for many years? When the sky is the only thing that you see, for this child the ceiling has been the only thing. And that day I decided that we have to do something for persons with disability in rural India. See, they are scattered all over the country, especially in rural India. They are stigmatized, they are invisible, they are unheard. Their mothers suffer a lot because they've given birth to a disabled person. So there's a lot of things, that mental attitude, that barriers that needed to be overcome. But at that time, we had no law in the country for persons with disability. Worked with many other NGOs led by the late Mr. Javed Abedi, who inspired us all to start working with the government to start an act for persons with disability, 1995 Act. Later on, we worked with the United Nations for a Convention of Persons with Disabilities, their rights, and so on. And in 2016, with Javed Abedi leading us all, we worked with the government to actually get the act passed in the parliament called the 2016 Persons with Disability Act. So that's been a long history of recognizing disabilities. In 2001, first time persons with disability in India were counted. In 2011, it's been second time. Still, we have to go a long way with the new act now, from 7 types of disability in the previous act. Now there are 21 types of disabilities that have come under the Act of Persons with Disability. So that is the part of policy and advocacy in persons with disability. But we have our own program in the community because we believe that treatment and rehabilitation of person with disability is only 5 to 10% of that person with disability's life. The rest of his life is about accessibility, education, employment, getting included into the society, and then also participating in the rural, local self-government, everything. All the other aspects of life have also to be addressed. So we are working that way with this. It's a very interesting program. It's across disabilities, and we have to work for their equal participation, their access to opportunities, and their entitlements. And it's a long journey, but when you start doing this kind of work, you see that you don't start looking only at the disability of the person with disability, you also start looking at how to empower the abilities that they have already. So we will be soon doing a big program with Lord's Case if we get a project on persons with disability in 100 panchayats in 440 villages of Himachal Pradesh.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to a very systematic mainstreaming program for persons with disability.
Wow, Didi, what amazing work you're doing.
I enjoy it.
Didi, what is the work you're doing in local self-government in panchayats?
Whenever we think of rural India, the whole of rural India is governed by what is known as the Panchayati Raj institution at the Gram Sabha level, at the block level, and at the district level. this systematic way of giving people more opportunities in local self-government came with the amendment in the 73rd Constitution of our country, where women were empowered to participate in local self-government. Scheduled caste, scheduled tribes were empowered, as well as a more participatory local self-government system came into being. However, it is unfortunate that the local self-government's potential has not been untapped to its great degree. You must realize that there is great potential in local self-governance. When I tell you that we have a population of 1.3 billion people in the country, and we elect MPs both in the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha, MLAs in the states. Together, all of them make up around 5,000 people. 5,000 people to look after the needs of 1.3 billion. That's not possible, because that's a ratio of 1:2.5 lakh. But imagine in rural India, the whole government system of election is so good that you elect a person as a panchayat leader, pradhan in each of the villages, vice president and ward members, elected ward members, so that the ratio of the people and the leaders is very good. It's almost 1:413 or something like that. So you can look after very well many people, more people very well. The other thing is to consider that when you elect a leader as MP or MLA, once your job, that of election you've done, you voted for it, it's over. You don't participate anymore in governance. But in rural India, even after you elected a member, it's not representative governance. It's about participatory governance. Through Gram Sabha, every 3 months you are the ruler. The people themselves in the Gram Sabha decide what has to be done. It's not only the elected leaders. So we teach the people in the village to say that Delhi, Simla में हमारी गवर्नमेंट, पर गांव में हम गवर्नमेंट. People themselves, so they have to realize what they can do through Gram Sabhas and Gram Sabhas. So from 1993 to 94, when the whole act came in and started working with women as leaders, every 5 years we elect around 3 million people in 2.5 lakh panchayats in the country. So they need training to become very effective leaders. And women constitute 50% or more of them, depending on different states. So there's a lot of training of the elected leaders. There has to be a lot of training of the people themselves, how to be very actively involved in the running of their own villages, and how to also think together their priorities, analyze them, and then act in those directions. And many of the government programs give them those opportunities too. So they should not only become an arm of the government to implement government programs, they should take those entitlements, but by themselves they can change many things in their own villages. So to us, the Panchayati Raj Gram Sabha program is very important, and there have been many stories of how women have become very good pradhans. It's very fulfilling to see how women are leading their whole village, not only in their homes, but they're leading in their own village or their own panchayat. So the leadership of women and their empowerment is increasing by leaps and bounds through this Panchayati Raj institution. Men too are doing a lot, but women have become empowered in a big way.
Wow, so amazing. Incredible work you do. What are the biggest challenges did you face in running CORD?
The biggest challenge that we face is manpower. See, rural development is a very scientific work. It's very systematic. It demands more than the corporate sector. However, we don't get professionals coming to rural India.
Right.
Youngsters do not want to come and work in rural India. Even if they're trained in rural development or they have done in various other institutes, Xavier's or any other places, they have done their masters and post-graduation. Most people like to become consultants, but we need people, doers in the villages who would live with the persons in the villages and then bring about changes that are required. That's our greatest challenge. So we are now overcoming this challenge by developing our own teams from the grassroots. We had people who joined us as youths, simple youths, who may have just passed the 12th. During their work, they did graduation, and now many of them are doing the post-graduation through IGNOU, and they also continue with us as team members. So continuous growth and learning of our own staff that is available in the villages we are trying to develop. And of course, we still welcome a lot of professionals to come. We need them. We've started many other programs that help us to get professionals for short term, like interns, volunteers, interns from various universities, volunteers who come to us and serve. And now we've also started a fellowship program. So that's how we're trying to meet this challenge. The second challenge is to raise the funds for the kind of work you require. But with the Lord's grace, I believe that if you keep on working, you get people who come and support you. So that challenge, you have to work at it, but you do meet many people who come forward and support. Many organizations, now their corporate social responsibility are there. So many companies also come forward, and certain developmental organizations help you, the government helps you, and thousands of individuals help you to do what you want to do. But it takes a lot of effort. I wish it would become much more easier.
Right. Didi, what are your expansion plans for CORD?
The expansion plans for CORD are to go out more and more into remote rural India. 40% of rural India is extremely still very backward. So we do not want to work anymore in villages which are close to cities and towns, but would rather go into villages which are very far away. And that being the case, we would just take up few focus panchayats in those areas, which we call satellite sites, and develop an integrated rural development program for that whole panchayat. That means the number of villages included in that panchayat with all aspects of lives that touch the people's lives, especially the poor and marginalized, so that we create a kind of an oasis there, and other people around them may learn from each other, and then the whole area can develop. So that's what we want to do. Our second part is to expand the depth of our programs, each of our programs. And in Sidapati, we have a CORD training center and resource center, where most of the programs are developed in Himachal Pradesh, and then we expand it to other parts of our country. That is the second part of expansion. And third part is for us to make people more interested in actually working out and coming out to rural India to work and implement programs. That is a difficult part, as I told you. That's one of our challenges all over the country. But I think we have ignored rural India for very, very, very long. It's the richness of a country, the culture, the diversity. It's mind-boggling. It's really beautiful. You just have to go to your country and visit. You should not allow it to die. So I keep talking about rural prosperity the rural way. Let's hope we make a little dent. It will drop in the ocean.
Wow.